Hello everybody, welcome back to Automation. This is Marcus here, and today we are going to be doing quite a few things in our playthrough of Consolidated Motorcars Incorporated. First of all, we are going to redesign the mobilizer hatch for the second generation, probably the one that's going to carry us through to the end of the game. Next thing, we want to introduce a brand new model. That's going to be a combination pickup truck and like budget off-road SUV. And then, of course, we're going to refresh our existing models. The Liberator, we seem to have some sort of production issue here. I'm not sure if that's something that I screwed up or if it's a bug in the game. If you know, let me know. And then, of course, we're going to do a facelift of our Handyman cargo van. It's steadily pumping out profits for us here. So let's go ahead and get started by redesigning the mobilizer. I went ahead and let the game run just for 2 months so that we could unlock the 2005 bodies, because there is one in particular that I want to use, and that's this one here. The 2005 hatchback body that kind of looks like a little compact SUV. Tons of interior volume. I think it's the only one that can really rival that high top that we have now. Should be a pretty good all-around body. We're gonna switch over to treated steel because we have the large factory. We can do it. Monocoque chassis, of course, sticking with the cheap steel. For a budget car, I still just don't think we can afford the AHS, or we could afford it, of course, but it's just not going to be worth the consumer price, I think. Front transverse engine with McPherson struts, and we are going to give this guy semi-trailing arms. We're going to upgrade it from the old torsion beam. We have enough familiarity now. I think it's time that the budget car gets a full, an all-around four-wheel independent suspension, and we're even going to drop 1 point of quality in as well, as we have been doing. Now, we're going to keep reusing our old engine, though, and start with the E94 here. I just don't really think there's any reason. I mean, we could switch over to an ALSI block, I guess, but I don't think for this application there's too much to be gained for it. Sticking with our low friction cast pistons. Ooh, could it be time to give it variable valve timing? I don't know. It's a pretty marginal gain, actually. I don't really think so. Put a point of compression in there. We have a little bit of headroom, even a little bit more headroom. Ooh, direct injection. Do I want to give it direct injection? I think not yet. What I think I'm actually going to do here for direct injection, because the engineering time on this is a bear, what I'll probably do is put it on the flat 6 that we made last episode for the premium sedan first, gain some familiarity in it, and then on the next go around, probably the last round of facelifts that we will do for this playthrough, I'll put direct injection on the rest of the motors. But since we're not, we're going to engineer 2 more points of quality, or just 1 more point of quality actually, into the fuel system, which will allow us to gain 1 more point of compression. Anything else that we want to modify here? Let's see, I don't think so. Everything else looks great. Maybe just 1 point of quality in the exhaust, I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty affordable. Let's do that. Only 1 choice of body here, so that makes things pretty easy. Let's see what we can do about the morphs. We'll widen the fenders a little bit so we can get some added stability. Oh, that's interesting. Could do like a Fiat Multipla type of thing. I don't know. But we're not going to do that. We're going to make it look just kind of normal. But of course, we're going to make the cab nice and big because we like that interior volume and some trunk space too. You know, this is what does this look like? What's that thing? The Renault Aventime kind of had a rear end like this, I think, with this kind of like bulge out and like flat notch-backed rear window on a hatchback. Kind of an interesting body. I haven't really messed around with the morphs on this too much. As always, coming back and doing the design afterwards. Transverse front wheel drive, advanced automatic with a 5-speed, open diffs. We'll take the gearing right up. We want reasonably tall gearing, and we'll space it out a little bit too. Come back and retune that later, obviously. Radial tires with hard long life. I think we will step up just to 185s. I still want relatively narrow tires, but then again, this isn't that big of a car. So, and it doesn't really need to perform well either. 40 spacing on the front looks good. Let's see on the back. Actually, yeah, 70? Even 80? Nah, 70. 70 is the ticket. And I think that might be a little aggressive on the front too. We'll take it down to 35. I want to do 15-inch rims and then, yeah, 65 aspect ratio. Let's go for a 70. Yeah, those look good. Solid discs in the front. See if we can still get away with drums in the back. I bet we can. Don't need an under tray. We do need cooling airflow. Interior, basic with, ooh, should we give it a basic CD or just a basic cassette? Let's start with the basic cassette and we'll come back and test it later. Electric power steering, ooh, ESC. Do we want to put ESC on it or just ABS? Let's start with just ABS for now. And standard 90 safety, of course. Progressive springs, we don't need any of this fancy stuff. Basic dampers and passive sway bars. Okay, well, this is looking good so far. Let's normalize the suspension tuning. All right. Let's go back and tune. Starting with the gearing, we can definitely go higher. Need some overdrive for better fuel economy, and we don't have wheel spin, so we can have a little bit more spacing as well. Take that right out to about 80. I don't want to go too much farther than that. Wheels, I don't think we have anything to see here. Solid disc, braking. Okay, so really all we need to do here is give it a little bit more front bias and then make things a little bit more comfortable. Actually, ooh, do we want to maybe move over to four-wheel discs, excuse me, on this? Or do we just want to go for like maybe 2 pistons in the front? Let's go back to drums here and then 2 pistons in the front, and then we can let's see. This seems to be working a little bit better. Yeah, I think this is the ticket right here. That's plenty of brake power, and it'll be nice and comfortable as well. Okay, let's test out if they like the basic CD. Nope, just the basic cassette. How about a point of quality? No. Just regular? Okay, that should be fine. Do we want anything in here? Nope. Now, they would like ESC, but I think that's just going to make the engineering time so long because we're doing this on a brand new model. It's going to be stacking on top of that, all that chassis engineering time that we're going to have to do from scratch. So I'm going to pass on it this time around. We'll max out for drivability here. Taking a look at the sway bars, we can definitely soften those up a bit. 6.7, that looks perfect. Drivability, do they like a stiffer suspension? I think, yeah, they do like a little stiffer suspension. Okay, and let's take a look at our ride height. We probably want to lower it just a little bit. Yeah, that looks really, really good. Okay, 120 score. I think that's going to do it for us. That's going to be our budget hatch. I'll go back and do the design on this bad boy, and I'll check back in with you guys in just a couple minutes. We're back. Here's our design of the Mobilizer 2. I'm actually pretty happy with this one. It's another simple design, but I mean, I think it looks okay. You know, I don't know, sort of charming in a way. A very like modern design. Looks like a, you know, looks like a mid to late 2000s car, I guess. Let's go ahead and move on to cloning this and making the hot hatch variant of it, because I definitely want to carry that on. That's a lot of fun to drive around. Obviously, the first thing we're going to do is replace it with a new variant of our sport motor of the 1.5. Let's take a walk through here, see what we can do. Maybe this one would benefit. Yeah, this one I think would benefit from having the VVT. This would be a good place to stick it on there. We'll target the fun budget segment when we get there. Let's see. Any other modifications we want to make here? I think maybe just dumping a couple more points of fuel system quality in, and then a few more points of compression. There we go. Okay. Yeah, everything here looking good. Maybe we'll put in just a point of turbo quality. Yeah, that'll help with reliability a little bit. And a point of exhaust quality like we did for the other one. Okay, there we go. Now, first things first, for the hot hatch variant, we're going to swap back over to a manual transmission, give it a 6-speed with the geared LSD, and then we're going to take the spacing way down because we need to get rid of some of that wheel spin, and also having tighter spacing will help us with sportiness a little bit. And actually, in terms of gearing length, that's exactly where I want to be. Although, I'd like for this car to be a little bit faster. I wonder if there's any way we can get some more power out of this engine. Let's go back into the variant designer here and see. I think what we'll do is maybe just some more aggressive turbo tuning. So let's put like another pound of pressure through the turbo. We'll have to remove a little bit of compression. Or do we have any more headroom on fuel? A tiny, tiny bit. Okay, well, that got us 5 more horsepower. Every little bit helps, I suppose. We can then make the compressor a little bit bigger and maybe a little bit more aggressive AR ratio. And what about cam profile? I don't want to go too aggressively with it, but I think just letting it breathe, yeah, that will help a lot. Just letting it breathe a little bit better should help us up there in the top end. And then we can make the compressor bigger again. We're still at what it looks like about a third, just shy of a 3,000 RPM boost threshold. That's okay. That's acceptable to me. Let's go through here, and do we want to make the turbine any bigger, even a little bit? No. We can actually even make it smaller without giving up too much power. Okay, there we go. That looks to be the sweet spot. Okay, 127 horsepower, thereabouts. That's pretty good. I think that'll motivate us adequately. And see if there's anything to be gained by just adjusting the intercooler here. We can actually make it a little bit smaller, it looks like. Okay. How are we doing on exhaust? We're doing great. Any compression that we're leaving on the table? Yes. Almost left a point of compression on the table. Okay, cool. 9.1 seconds. Okay, well, we shaved, like, what's that? 7/10 off from that extra power. I mean, hey, I'll take that. We will also switch over to the sports compound tires and alloy wheels. We'll give this one some different rims as well. I think, let's give it the triples. I kind of like those. And we're going to paint it yellow as well. What did I just paint yellow by mistake? There we go. Went ahead and painted it yellow and gave it some different wheels as well, just so we know. All right, let's make them a little bit bigger too. I want to give them 16-inch wheels. Actually, that profile looks really good, and maybe we'll just make them slightly larger. Yeah, 195s. I mean, I think that should be plenty. The car still weighs under 3,000 pounds, well under 3,000 pounds, so that should be just fine. Let's see, a fun budget. Do they like this as a 4-seater? Yeah, they do. It also makes us lose some weight as well. Don't need any quality there. Now we come to the suspension where we can give it the fancy dampers, standard springs, although actually, looks like they prefer the regular progressive springs. We can stiffen up our suspension tuning quite a lot, gain a lot of sportiness that way, and then also dial in our settings here for some sportiness. And just like last time, we'll go a little bit stiffer in the back than in the front, and we will make the ride height a little bit lower as well. How does that look? I think we could go even a little lower on the ride height. Yeah, 7.5, that looks great. I like that. I actually really like the stance of this thing. It looks kind of mean. I think it looks cool. Okay, I'd like to get a little bit more, oversteer, a little less understeer in here. So let's adjust that. 5.5, that looks pretty good. Let's go a little bit more aggressive on the front camber. 1.5, that's about as far as I want to go. Okay, and then I think everything else looks really good here. Brakes, maybe we just adjust these a little bit. Go for a slightly more aggressive pad type to get rid of some of that brake fade penalty. Okay. That's going to be the ride right there, it looks like. Let's see, just out of curiosity, how it does around the test track. Gets around in a 236, which is not all that fast for this era, but it's pretty fast. It's not all that slow either. It's still a budget car, so we'll go ahead and complete this design. Factory management, we're going to produce this in the same factory that we upgraded last time. We need to buy the treated steel plant. We're going to produce both trims. Oops, I guess I forgot to rename it. We'll go ahead and go back and fix that real quick. But before we do that, I'm going to adjust our settings here. I want to have a little bit more automation, a little bit more tooling quality. Engineering sliders. What we're going to do is max out the funding. I think I'm going to try and target, we might even need to target like an 84-month engineering time on these to get a satisfactory amount of reliability engineered into them without giving up too much on tooling or process. I think we are going to have to. 84 months is what, 7 years? So this car will come out in 2008? Oh, that's all right. Okay, and that gives us a nice reliable machine. I think that's what we'll do, and let's go in here. For the engines, I think all of the sliders are looking pretty much good, so I'm just going to drop the funding out as much as we can and put in a little bit more process, and we actually have a few extra months in there. All right, let's go ahead and do that. All right, our forecast is looking pretty good here. Let's go ahead and sign these babies off. Or actually, I keep saying I'm going to sign them off, but I sign them all off at the end as one big project. So now we're going to just move on to engineering our new SUV, which should be pretty exciting. For body selection on the utility/off-road model, I think I'm going to go with this guy here because I want something with a short wheelbase that's going to be relatively light, because I do want to use the 2.2 liter inline 4 that we already have in this truck. I might make a different variant of it though. Now for material selection, I think what I want to do is produce this truck in the medium factory that we now have producing the Liberator, and buy a new large factory for the Liberator. But what that means is I have to use regular steel instead of treated steel for the body on this one. But I think it'll be okay. We are going to go for galvanized on the frame, just like we're doing for everything else. A longitudinal engine placement, we will have... we could have struts up front for a little bit more road manners, or we could have a solid axle coil, and it would be a real, this would be a real truck's truck, you know? I think it would be more in line with our brand ethos, excuse me, to do a solid axle truck. You know, like this is really, these are utilitarian vehicles. We don't do soft road trucks at Consolidated Motorcars Incorporated. We only build vehicles for a purpose. And then solid axle with a leaf in the back. That's very normal. I mean, most pickup trucks even today still use that. I think the Ram truck uses coils currently, but and the Ridgeline has a multi-link rear end. But aside from that, I'm pretty sure all the other ones use leaf springs in the back. Actually, what am I thinking? We want to use a monocoque chassis. I might have clicked that just by accident. I want to use a light truck monocoque. So we have the frame in the back, but the unibody up front for some more safety, with 1 point of quality in. And then what I'm going to do for the engine is I'm going to clone the E94, and then we're going to make this the U01 variant, U of course for utility. And then the only difference is it's going to have a like super low cam profile, like a 15, just to get all the torque off of idle that we can possibly get, and a little bit more. We'll give the E variant the fuel system quality as well, even lower rev limit for more reliability, and slightly more fuel for a little bit more power. Okay. Oops, not quite that much added compression. All right. Yeah, this should be a good utility motor. All right. Should we choke it a little bit? Yeah. It likes it to be just 1 point smaller. That's gonna be perfect. We'll start with the pickup truck variant because that's the one that I expect to sell more of. We want to make the cab a little bigger because the trucks, especially the single cab trucks, tend to suffer a practicality penalty, I've noticed. We'll square off the front a little bit. We made the bed a little bit bigger as well, and as always, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of width. The pickup is going to be rear-wheel drive with an advanced automatic. The off-road variant, I'm probably going to give that four-wheel drive. In terms of this guy, they like really wide spacing. We're going to give it a manual locker as well, to give it just a little bit of added, utility value. But with reasonably, I want gearing that's just a little bit taller than the top speed. On the whole, as we saw with the van, these guys like really short gearing. Hard long life tires, I think 205s will be perfect, and I actually think the wheels could be slightly smaller, but obviously spaced out quite a bit more. Okay, there we go. 100 spacing on the rear. Solid discs in the front, drums in the back. Familiar story. We will give this one an off-road skid tray, maximum cooling airflow. Bench seat maybe, with a basic interior and a basic cassette player. Electric steering, ABS, and standard 90 safety. Of course, progressive springs, twin tube dampers, passive sway bars, the basics. Woo, okay, low comfort penalty. Maybe they would do better off with a, yeah, they actually just like the two-seater better. And they like a basic CD better. Okay, well, that's fine. Anything else we want to modify here? Oh, let's take a look at the brakes. Definitely some stuff we want to change up here. We can go for a less aggressive pad type. That's great. Let's have a look at the gearing. Do they like a little taller gearing? No, they do not. Matter of fact, they like a little shorter gearing. Let's take a look here. How are we doing on suspension tuning? How are we doing on ground clearance? I feel like, well, that's as low as it goes, actually. I forgot. Solid axle vehicles with the front solid axle, they need to ride high, but for a utility vehicle, that's perfectly fine. Traditionally, pickup trucks will have a little bit stiffer suspension in the rear than in the front. We don't need all these sway bars. We don't need any sway bars in the back, I think. All right. And then we can probably even take some out of the front, too. That looks good. And then, all right. They don't really like it to be any stiffer. I think that this is our truck right here. I'm going to go ahead and do the naming and the design, and then we'll switch over to doing our off-road variant. I'll be right back with you. Here is the completed design for the Conquistador. That's what I've decided to call our little truck here. I don't know, it's just whatever design. But let's go ahead and move on to doing our off-road variant, which I'm kind of excited for. I like building off-road cars in automation. They're sort of satisfying. Engine is going to stay the same, but we're going to make it have the SUV body. Okay, there we go. Just had to take a second to neaten up the fixtures and add the rear door handles. Now let's move on to how we're going to build this thing. First of all, I'm going to target the off-road budget segment. And let's switch over to four-wheel drive, sticking with manual lockers, chunky off-road tires, and ooh, we definitely can make them a lot bigger. So let's step up to 16-inch rims. And maybe we'll go right up to like a 30-inch tire. Nice wide. Nice, not really that wide, but matter of fact, those are kind of what I think are called pizza cutters. But that looks about right for the car. That helped our off-road score quite a bit too. Braking, obviously it's a lot heavier in the back, so we need some more brakes in the rear. That's pretty good right there. Luckily, we can make the brakes a little bit bigger as well. Oh, we can add back seats. I think they like 4, 2 to 5. Yeah, I think a 4-seater makes a lot of sense back there. Everything here looks okay. Ooh, we can have a little bit more ground clearance too. Do they like that? Yeah, I don't want to go too high though, because it's already pretty. Yeah, that's already a pretty aggressive ground clearance. But that's okay. The roll angle's reasonable, and that's our main limiting factor. We can have a little softer suspension as well. I don't want to go too much softer, though, because then the handling really starts to go. 6.5 or... Yeah, they like to have that little bit of sway bar in there. Okay, I mean, I think this is reasonable. I think this is exactly where I want it to be. The handling looks good. We've got a very strong off-road score, and we're scoring well in both of our target segments. So let's rename it. I'm going to have a lot of fun, I think. I might take this up this mountain when we export it to beamng on Small Island map, that mountain in the middle where you can go up that steep trail. We'll see how it does there. And yeah, that is gonna do it for the first generation Conquistador. Love building solid axle trucks, man. Okay, now like I said, we're gonna be producing this in the medium factory that currently produces the Liberator. Don't think we need to make any modifications. And we're looking at a 60-month engineering time. Let's see if we can get this guy out the door. I want to make it a little cheaper. I'd like to get this guy out the door in 70... What were we doing on the engine for this? Oh, we haven't done the engine yet. So let's target 72 months for now and go from there. Before we go any further on the production of this, I want to hop back and do the refresh of the Liberator, because that's the other model that uses our 2.2 liter inline 4 motor. So we'll jump right into that, and then that'll allow us to sign off the engine project, which will allow us to sign off the car project. This is kind of the only downside to having like all of your model lineups intertwined with all of these different engine variants, is that it sort of forces you to a large extent, sync up the development cycles on them. Let's start with the family sedan for the Liberator, because that's got the engine in question that we need to fix up. We're going to replace the E94 with the E01, and shouldn't be too many major modifications here. Take our fuel system quality up a little bit. Do we want VVT? Yeah, I think we do want VVT this time around. Yeah, anything else we need to do here? Maybe just a little bit more. Maybe rev it just a tiny bit more. Let it breathe. Yeah, that looks good. And 1 point of exhaust quality. Looking good here, and just shy of 100 horsepower, which is adequate, I suppose. Quickly rename it to the 01. We will not really need to make any changes here, except I guess I never fixed this gearing. We can make that a little bit taller. Wheels are looking great. Brakes are looking good. We'll just give it a little bit more rear bias. Aerodynamics, no changes here. Ooh, do they like to have a CD player instead? Yeah, they do. They do like to have the CD player. This might be our opportunity to introduce ESC. Yes, I think it is time. Let's take a look here. Nothing else to see. Maybe just slightly stiffer front sway bars to bring the roll angle under 7 degrees, and then I think that's it. Not too much to see here, folks. Now we're in the premium sedan, where things are going to get a little bit interesting, just because we're going to be facelifting the balanced variant of the Firefly, and this is where we're going to do our research on direct injection. Don't need to really upgrade any internals or anything like that. We will give it variable valve timing and direct injection with no extra quality for the first time around. A little bit more advanced ignition timing, maybe take it up to a 60, and then the rest we will have as compression. Man, direct injection makes such a big difference in how much compression you can run in this engine. Let's take a look through here. Nothing really else that we need to be doing. Let's give it a quick listen. Sounds good. Transmission, anything we need to modify here? I think maybe just a little taller gearing. Nope, actually they don't need any taller gearing. Wheels are looking good. The rear ride frequency is low. Well, we can certainly get a look at that and fix it. Everything looking good here. Premium standard CD. Oh yeah, they like the standard CD a lot better. And then we're also going to give this one stability control. And let's see here. We need to fix our roll angle and make the ride in the rear just a tiny bit stiffer. A little stiffer sway bars again. Okay, this is looking good. How's our performance? 10.4 seconds. That's all right. Oops. I like the scores. Let's call that one complete and do our factory tooling. Now this is where our new factory is going to be set up, so we'll buy it in Hedvasia again just because that's where we've been buying all our factories. I think starting with a large 1 should be good. We'll need all of the accompanying add-ons. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit more automation. and a little bit better tooling quality as well. Lower the QA threshold too. Engineering time. Okay, well, it's actually pretty reasonable. We can take some pressure out, add some reliability in. We'll take the process up a tiny bit, but maybe like I think a 72 month on this one as well. That looks great. Now we can finish our Reliant engine factory tooling. Let's call that good. Now, I don't know, we may need to add some production to this because we're increasing the models that are running it. We'll just have to sort of see. I'm going to take the process up just a scotch, and then the rest of it, yeah, I think that's all we can do for it, really. Okay, well, it looks like we should still have enough for now anyway. The Firefly continues to be produced in the medium factory. No setting adjustments here at all are needed, but we can get a little bit more reliability into it on our 72-month time frame. Sales are looking good. Or sales forecaster, I should say. All right. Oh, interesting. Fun to see two engines on there. Okay. Now we'll go back in. We'll finish tooling our Conquistador because that'll let us know whether we need to invest in more production capacity for the Reliant motor as well. Forecasts on this one are also looking very strong, especially for the pickup. The off-road is not quite as strong, but that's okay because the pickup's a larger market anyway. That's really the one that I want to capitalize on. That's where there's money to be made. Off-road it's fun to make the cars, but it's so small that the volume on it just isn't all that big. But let's complete that, and I think we're still okay for production capacity according to the forecaster, so we'll see about that. And then we'll hop back to the hub, and the last thing we have to do is just refresh our handyman, and that should be really, really quick because all we're going to do is drop that utility motor into it, which should buff our score a little bit, and we will be good to go. New facelift. This is going to be the Cargo Van 01. Oops. Cargo Van 01. We get to select an existing engine. Of course, the utility model is going to be dropped in here. Transmission, nothing really new to see here. Everything looking good. Brakes looking good. Interior looking good. Yeah, really not much going on here besides that new engine. That's I guess that's literally all there is to it. Let's sign them all off. Maybe there is something we can do on the factory side, though. We'll up our QA threshold a little bit. I wonder if we might want to take this as an opportunity to upgrade this factory one more time. Maybe just to a large 2, although if we're going to... I don't know if that offline time is going to be worth it at this point. We could be selling a lot of our existing model while we're like, we're gonna have to give up, like, what is that, 5 years of selling about 15,000 a year to gain. It could still be worth it. You know what, let's do it. Just spend the money. This is probably gonna be our last opportunity to really upgrade factories and get our money's worth out of them because we're so close to the end of the game. So let's just do it. We've kind of got the money to burn, so I'm gonna go for it. Engineering, it should be next to nothing. Maybe a little more automation, a little bit more process, since I don't think we're gonna be short of unit sales or capacity. Let's see. All right, engine, nothing to see there. Scoring is just through the roof still. Oh, wait. Oh, go back here a second. Uh-oh. So with that factory upgrade, that would force us to upgrade the engine factory too, which would force us to take all the models using this Reliant motor offline. I don't think I want to do that. And to be honest, this large 3 upgrade really wasn't strictly necessary anyway. So we'll go back to the large 1 and see if that gets our production more in line with where we need it to be. Okay, we're still a little bit light, but I can probably fix that just without upgrading the engine factory, just by like upgrading the tooling and stuff, kind of like we did for that medium factory a while back. So let's go into our factory management here. It's already a large 1. Oh yeah, we got plenty of headroom here. Let's take the automation right up to 75 and the tooling quality right up to 65. And then max out that. We'll drop a little bit out of process to squeeze out a few more units. Perfect, right in line. Okay folks, it is now sign-off time. We have all of our factories, all of our car projects taking 72 months, and our engine projects coming in a little bit less than that, with the exception of the mobilizer, which is going to take 84 months. So what I'm going to do is deselect that one, deselect the engine that goes with it, and then we can sign off all of our 72-month schedules at once. We do not need a loan for it. So off she goes. And then these two go together. And you know what? We don't need a loan for these either. Let's just sign it off. I think we'll be good. All right, now we've got a bunch of models coming out at the end of 06 and a bunch of models coming out at the end of 07. Let us run the game a little bit and see how things go. We just had our 72-month trims go on sale, and it looks like so far so good. We're selling a lot of cargo vans, we're selling a lot of sedans, and our new Conquistador off-roader and pickup truck is also selling very well. Selling a lot more of the pickup truck than the off-roader, but that's perfectly okay. We're going to run the game here a little bit until our new mobilizer comes out, and we'll see how that sells, and then we can think a little bit about what we want to do next. Now our mobilizer is on sale, both trims selling excellently with very good volume. I'm pretty happy with that. We've got a nice reputation for reliability and liking, again, this revenue wheel, like nice, like 4 strong, profitable models. The Conquistador is the least profitable by a good margin, but that's also because it's in the small factory. And we're suffering from a little bit of the same thing as we had with the Liberator when it was produced in the medium factory. Maybe it's to do with something like when demand outstrips production too much, the game just starts charging these absurd markups, and it almost like seems to create like a feedback loop of some sort. I'm not sure, but either way, we're selling our pickup at a huge margin, and even at that markup, we're still selling about over twice as many as we are selling of the off-roader. But this we're not using the factory capacity, and yet it charges a really ridiculous markup. I don't quite understand it, but they're gonna completely revamp the sales model for the next update anyway, so I'm not gonna sweat this too much because this whole markup system is gonna go away anyway. That's gonna wrap up the automation portion for today. We've done a lot. This is probably gonna be one of the longer videos so far, but we are nearing the end of this Let's Play. I'm gonna export a couple of these models over to Beam. We'll take them for a test drive, and I'll see you guys over there. First up, we have the Mobilizer Generation 2 Hot Hatch. Let's just jump right in and see how it does. It chirps the tires. That 6-speed transmission helps it feel a lot faster with the closer ratios. Now this one has independent 4-wheel suspension, so in theory, it should handle a little bit better than the old one, although I don't know. I love driving the previous generation mobilizer hot hatch. This one actually, despite being more powerful, I think because it's bigger and heavier, it actually feels slower. It might actually be slower as well. I will say the semi-trailing rear end is kind of nice. It sort of floats the back out a little easier, but this is a much heavier car than the old one, it feels like. Just heavier, not quite as fun to drive. Still, like, decently nice. It rotates pretty well, but it just doesn't have it just doesn't have enough acceleration. Kind of feels like the first generation, like the very first attempt at a hot hatch we did, where like, yeah, it's faster than the vanilla one, but it still doesn't really feel fast enough to justify the title as a hot hatch. So we'll have to revisit this on our next facelift. Oh, whoa, whoa! Also have a tendency to go out under speed. Another negative handling characteristic that maybe we'll have to dial out. So this time we are on the small island map to test out the Conquistador. I've gone ahead and already just locked up the diffs because I don't really want to mess around with it. We're going to test it a little bit here on road briefly, just on the way to the mountain trail that I really want to give it a go on, and my God, this car is slow. I knew it was going to be slow. It does ride extremely comfortably, though, for a truck with solid axles. But I knew it was going to be slow, but I didn't think it was going to be quite this slow. I mean, I guess it's a 90 horsepower inline four in a 3,000-pound SUV, so what was I expecting? But, let's see. Well, we do get through here with only a little bit of banging. All right, we made it to the trail that I want to test this thing out on, so let's pop it into the low range for our ultra low gearing and see how it does getting up this hill. Man, in the low range, the gearing is honestly like ridiculously short, but that's good for an off-roader. Yep, climbing up this hill with no trouble at all. What I'm sort of judging it by is how well all four wheels are able to stay in contact and like with how little drama it's able to get up this hill. Because, you know, if you just floor it and hit it with speed, most trucks will get up this hill, but it's like, how hard do you have to push it to get up? And with this one, it's basically just walking up this hill between its gearing and its tires and its ground clearance. Let's go down here and see how we control it over some rocks. So here we've come to a pretty intense patch of rocks here. Let's see if I can maneuver this thing over it. I want to try and take a line where I put the passenger side wheel up on this kind of little ridge here and see if we can get over it. Oh, don't high center it on the axle like that. Back up just a little bit. Okay, there we go. Perfect. And yeah, a little gas. Walk it over. Cut it hard in. And I think we are clear. Pretty good. That's all I have for you guys on today's episode. As always, thank you so much for watching. We're probably going to be doing our very last round of facelifts or models or whatever we're going to do next episode, so let me know what you'd like to see. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.